Today is the 1st of June, and here's the McClellan oscillator reaching up to the overbought line. Last time it got this high, it turned around. Didn't quite make it as high the next time. Got very, very choppy, but we really have a market now that is continuing this big uptrend that we've had since last summer when the COVID drop started to turn around. And we've had the occasional pullbacks. And you can see one here, then we had a bigger one here, smaller one here, smaller one here, smaller one here, probably about the same size here, but the pullbacks are becoming smaller and people are stepping in buying the dips. Now I've been taking a look at the summation index and I've been plotting the summation index, which is simply adding the McClellan oscillator numbers. So when you have a positive number, it adds to the summation index. When you have a negative number, it subtracts from it. And it looks like this for the last year, where you can see the summation index in this green line here. And if we look at its highs and its lows, the market actually starts to move down before the summation index starts to send us a signal. The same thing with moving up. It moves up, and then the summation index sort of has to work its way back to a positive mode by having smaller and smaller negative numbers. But once it goes positive, we've got a peak here, a lower high. Well, this is not a lower high. This is a lower high. This is a lower high. But now we've got two higher highs, and we have the index turning around. And we don't see the summation index having rapid switches, so we can expect it to continue to move up, and when it does that, of course, the S&P continues to rally with it. Let's look at the charts. So now the charts that we look at, and we look at the same ones over and over again, are not so much to show you new stock opportunities, although sometimes we pick a new stock opportunity. It's really how to use the Ichimoku and the moving averages to gain a sense of what kind of security or good feeling you should have about your stock positions, and if you're trading like me, in your short positions against those long stocks. And if we look at the Dow Jones, it finished at the bottom of its range today. The key thing, of course, was this move off of the 50 a couple of weeks ago. The NASDAQ, I'm loading something in the background, so that's why it's taking a bit of time. So let's switch to the S&P. The S&P is still staying above the candles, which is a good thing. And the candles, the Chiku span is staying above the candles, so that's a good thing. And since those trailing candles are moving up, we should expect, with continued support, to see the Chiku span moving up, which means that overall price should move up. And again, the 50 was the key support here. Let's see if we can get the NASDAQ. Can't. So the volatility index, that's a little slow. Apple pulled back to 78.6 and a little lower, but look at where the Chiku span is. Let me get rid of this, I'm sorry. The Chiku span barely lost the cloud. We can say that it's looking at support on the cloud, and we would expect to see a turn up tomorrow in Apple for two reasons. Because we finished on the 78.6% Fibonacci, and the Chiku span got support on the cloud. These are the type of things that we look for. And there, of course, is the resistance on the 50, unlike our other moving averages, which were giving us support. IBM continues to just channel along, and that's why having short calls against your stock is a good thing when price isn't changing, because time is peeling off of that premium. And since you sold the call and collected premium, the price to buy it back is decreasing. NIO was the big winner today. It got an upgrade from Citibank, which said that the Chinese market is going to need more and more electric vehicles, and it's well positioned to do that, being a Chinese manufacturer. Now, the key thing here is that the Chiku span broke through the 50, edged above the 50, but it still has the cloud to deal with, and there's some formidable cloud resistance for the Chiku span, and our candle is still in the Chiku span. But if we look at today, we started at the 68.1%, and we finished pretty well near the high of the day with just a little bit of selling at the end of the day. to make that a pretty strong candle for NEO. I also have short calls for NEO, but it wasn't profitable anymore to sell short calls at the price that I bought the stock. It's pulled back too far. So what I did is called a back ratio. And what I did for NEO, let me pull it up on my other screen here, is I have 1,500 shares. So I bought 15 October 55 calls for $2.48, sorry, for $1.04. They're now worth $2.48. So they've doubled in value. But I sold October 60 calls, but I didn't sell 15 of them. I sold 30. So really what I have now is my 1,500 shares of NEO covered by 15 contracts for the October 60 calls. And I also have a vertical spread of the October 55s long and the 60s short. So that's called a rescue position, where you can gain on the vertical spread 55 to 60, and the whole trade, buying 15 and selling 30, actually netted a profit. So this trade didn't cost anything. If it doesn't get to $60, my 60 calls will expire worthless. I'll get to keep that $1.80 premium. But my 55 calls, if I end above 55, they will be profitable. And right now, that whole vertical is profitable. If you want me to explain that in a video, I can do that. You can also look at my website. That's explained somewhere else as well. Square didn't have such a good day, down $1.32. If we extended the 50 out here, we'd see that the 50 was resistance today. AT&T still showing that the stock has value for people who are looking for its dividend, at least for the next couple of quarters, because the new company who got a name today, Time Warner Discovery, won't be in business until this time next year, after it gets through all the regulatory and the legal. So there's still some quarters of dividend left. And when it does spin out, I think 2/3 of the shares of that company are going to be given to AT&T stockholders. SAVA, which is our new stock, had a very nice day today. It was up $3.14. Remember, I have a vertical call there. A friend of mine has invested quite heavily in it, but I just decided I would take the August 60 calls and sell the August 80 calls. And that was for about a $2.30 spread. But because there's $20 difference, there's about $1,500 to $1,700 profit per contract there. What else do we want to look at? ABBV bounced off of the 50. Again, if the 50 were to have been extended below, you would have seen it would have hit that candle. So moving averages are in play. You can see that it on the stochastics, the longer term, shorter moving line is showing over bought, but the faster moving line is showing oversold. So the upward motion of Abbott will be, ABBV will be tempered by this longer term stochastic, but the stock should be going up, but it's just going to be doing a minor recovery. Then it's likely to come down again as the short-term stochastic starts to drop, but the long-term stochastic still hasn't finished its move down into the oversold area. That's all for today. 9 minutes. I'm sorry. I really try to keep these to 5 minutes, but there were a lot of good technical indicators to take a look at.